Hey, you. No, yeah, you. The one listening. The one with the headphones on in your ears right now. Elizabeth, John, James, Paul,
Ringo?
James. Yeah, you guys. All over there. It's almost the end of the year. Congratulations, you badass. You made it to the end of 2020. And just because of that, I want you to be part of our conversation like you always are. Because guess what? This is FC3's Monkey Business. Your one-stop shop for everything geeky, right, Tanya? Because everything can be geeky if you love it enough. And it's starring Billy DeTore, Tanya Metris, Dan Carmen, Ann Liebig, and I am your host. My name is Chris. One more time for 2020. How you guys doing?
We're looking forward to the end. and possibly new beginning, light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it sounds like we got some good
Except
stuff
for we don't want it to be a train.
Hopefully it's not a sequel coming.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, people, they do like our sequels these days. So, a lot of movies come out with sequels. So
Yeah, this one I don't want a sequel. But can I tell you, on Friday because I have a procedure on Wednesday when this episode drops. So on Friday I had to go for my COVID test.
Mm-hmm.
They made me swab my nose myself. But Chris, you had to do that for yours,
Yep,
right?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh my God, it made me sneeze.
Well, yeah, that's an automatic response.
But so I went around 2:00 in the afternoon. By Chris is going to be a little upset. By like 8:00 Saturday morning, I had the results back.
Yeah, it took me 5 days?
5 days.
that's crazy. Yeah.
So I was in and out of the lab in 5 minutes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. And it came back not detected.
Good.
The SARS-CoV-2, which is the pre-whatever for
Previsla. Sorry.
something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have to go in another week or so for
Another
the
one.
COVID test. Yeah.
So
Monday
as of
after.
today, which is Sunday, no popcorn for the next couple days.
Oh, no.
It's going to kill me.
Poor Tanya.
Yeah, and liquid diet come Tuesday. Ugh.
The prep is worse than the actually getting it done. So
Well, yeah, it was like, oh, I'm warning all my students on Tuesday because I do not have any access to Coke Zero after 7:00 in the morning.
Miss Tanya's going to be crabby.
Yes, I'm like, and of course, that's the day that we're doing cutout Christmas cookies with the kids and frosting and sprinkles. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, I should have taken Tuesday off and Wednesday because it's going to drive me up a wall.
I took Tuesday off. I'll eat cookies for you.
Okay, thanks. and Anne's taking me to my procedure on
Are you
Wednesday.
going to need help with those cookies, Ann?
I have I have stuff to drop off to each and every one of you. I have peanut butter fudge, chocolate fudge, peanut butter blossoms, cutout cookies, butterball cookies.
oh my God.
Yum.
So I take it I'm getting my stuff on Wednesday then when you come over.
Yes, when I bring over my comics.
Yes, Wednesday night will be Comic Chicks from Tanya's basement because Tanya's not allowed to drive for 24 hours
Right.
as of Wednesday morning.
Poor thing's
never
going to
stopped me.
be stranded.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll be playing WoW for the rest of the day or napping. I don't know. So, but
Billy.
Hi, Chris.
How are you, Bill?
I'm doing good. I spent the last week or so watching a bunch of TV and movies because that's what I do for a living now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been okay. And I was in a little email chain with my brother and sister yesterday.
oh my God, that was hysterical.
Oh, I'm glad you saw it. Yeah, we figured out a way to spend a few minutes together on Christmas Eve. My mom and dad are at the cemetery near me, so we're going to have Christmas Eve at Mom and Dad's. We're gonna go to the cemetery and hang out for a few minutes, socially distant, and exchange gifts and chat for a few minutes and say hi to my mom and dad.
Well, that's a nice way to do it.
That is kind of cool, to be honest. That's very.
For many years we spent Christmas at our actual mom and dad's house.
Yeah.
So we're going to their new home or their most recent home.
Yeah.
They've been there a while.
I read the Facebook thread of you telling Susan about it, and like her trying to keep a straight face, going, but what?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But I think it's a wonderful idea. So
absolutely,
yeah. There's a nice sentimentality to that. I like.
Plus,
that.
I can walk there if the car breaks down.
There's that
because it's very close. And
so
is it Holy Sepulchre?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So I have a treat for you in the new year, there, Bill.
What's that?
I had the honor to do a quick one-shot D&D game last night for some from friends and friends of a friend, and along the way I was doing some networking because I had some folks in this particular game last night I had not met before. Well, this one dude, his name's Vincent. He has a couple of podcasts of his own, and one of them is dedicated completely to wrestling. So we were hooking up and laughing and sharing some stories and whatnot. And I was telling him about, who I do our podcast with. And I'm like, yeah, and I've got a huge wrestling fan in our team. And he's like, oh, awesome. So somewhere along the line in early 21, this guy Vincent is going to come onto our podcast. You guys can talk shop for a little while, and then we're going to get you and probably me onto his podcast, and we'll talk wrestling for a little while. So we got that. Well, I figured that'd be a cool little tip of the hat for Billy because I know how much you love that. And we really don't spend a lot of time on professional wrestling.
No, and that's okay. I dip in and out of it. Sometimes I watch it more than others. It's sort of cyclical for me. So, sometimes I always know what's going on, but sometimes I'm more involved than others.
Which is good because I tell you what, I have watched wrestling. I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, but when I was watching it on a regular basis, even when I was watching it, I had no clue what was going on.
I was about to say, when was the last time you watched wrestling?
I think the last time I watched it was like 4 or 5 years ago. I happened to be channel surfing and I landed on it. And so I watched it for a moment and I was like, and then I moved on.
Yeah.
My friend Paul said it best. It's comedy. It's sudden, violent comedy.
Yeah, that's a good. It's also often referred to as a soap opera for men.
Yes, it really is. When you think about it, absolutely.
Oh, the other thing you may have seen on Facebook, having nothing to do with wrestling, is yesterday was mine and Susan's wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations!
And she posted. I got a cameo video for her from the lead singer of one of our favorite bands. And it turned out really funny and really good. So if you want to search that on her timeline or mine,
I'm searching right now.
It's from a guy named Adam Weiner from the band Low Cut Connie out of Philadelphia.
Okay.
And that turned out really good. So I just want to say happy anniversary to Susan on the podcast, even though it's now, if people are listening, 4 or 5
days later.
Since it, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I'm on Susan's page right now, and I'm looking at the conversation that you guys had yesterday about Santa.
Oh, and Tanya's seeing the Santa conversation now on Facebook. My question is, and in movies, you always see Santa leave presents at someone's house, probably come across a kid or someone, and then he jumps in his sleigh and takes off and leaves somewhere. Why doesn't he just go next door?
And Susan
goes, that makes so much sense.
Honey, that was super interesting. Are these the kinds of things you think about? And Billy's like, yes, I think about this stuff while you think about the Georgia Senate elections, COVID, and smart stuff.
Yeah, I'm more worried about Santa's flight plan.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I love that so much right now, I got to tell you. That makes my heart happy on a day like today.
She's studying the COVID map. I got Santa's map.
There you go. I love it. It's hysterical. And, that's the part that, brings joy to somebody's face, just like those interactions.
So last year I took pictures of the cows with Christmas stuff on. And I didn't realize it was such a hit until some of my cousins have been texting me, calling me, saying, hey, when's Santa coming to the farm again? Our kids are waiting for pictures.
Oh, no. Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It was my Christmas cards last year. And I'm like, great. Now I have to go over there on Christmas Eve and take a couple pictures of some calves with some, blinky lights on their head or whatever and say Santa's arrived here and, post it on Facebook for all their kids.
Do you need my headband?
Oh no, I have a special one for the cows because the cow one stays with the cows because I don't. Who knows
Okay.
what they. I'm
So
pretty sure I've dropped it a few times.
are the cows Santa's reindeer?
I do put reindeer ears on them and then take pictures.
Yeah.
That's
No.
awesome.
On
The Chinese
movie,
ones
on
do
beef
look
stick.
I need a glue stick. What?
No, I said on mooey, on beef stick, on.
I will probably
On
use
heifer and
chocolate
Holstein.
frosting. Yeah, I'll probably use chocolate frosting or cupcake, one of those two, because they're the Jersey ones and they're brown and they're so pretty.
And they're being trained on a halter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't really say the real deer because the hunters have gotten a lot out here this year, like 20 something. So
Wow.
Oh, poor deer.
That's okay. There was 2 that crossed my path last night on my way home from Caledonia.
I saw like 15 all right in the road. I was like, ooh, I should go visit them.
I had to slow down as they were crossing the road right in front of me in Scottsville. So I was not happy.
Billy, how many cats do you have now?
6.
Oh, okay.
We have 6.
We have new kittens in the barn.
Oh no.
No. No, I don't want any.
You said the
right
magic
now.
word.
Before
Oh, no.
I get asked, I'm going to say no. I don't need any more.
I don't need any more either. That's the problem.
Molly and Bruno are plenty of fur already.
I would say Molly keeps clearing your tables.
She has been brutal on the dining room table.
Oh, she's one of those. I didn't know because she was never allowed on ours because she was not big enough to jump here.
Yeah.
So,
Luckily, she hasn't discovered the kitchen counters yet, but luckily, I'm pretty sure I just jinxed myself there, so it's all good.
Yeah, give her
Just-
time. She'll do that.
Just don't keep anything out where she could possibly get it
Mm.
on the kitchen counter.
so she just knocks everything off. She done the full glass of water yet?
No, she hasn't. But here's the thing: is what she does is she knocks all of like placemats and accoutrement, like little whatever happens to be up there, off of it. But then she'll get spooked, and in her spin up to running across the dining room table, she kicks all of the tablecloths off, and then flies off the table, and then makes tracks across the living room on her way to wherever the hell she's going to hide next. And it's just like, oh god, I'm making a countdown to when she puts scratches in my grandfather's table. It's like, oh god, no, please don't.
Do you? I mean, if you tell me, I don't know if you saw what's on my dining room table, but I can order you that plastic that goes on top of it.
No, it's okay. I've got a couple of ideas in mind. Most of them super glue and the cat.
Fitted sheet. A fitted sheet works good too.
Yeah, that's why I read that one on Google somewhere. I was going to do that. But
Oh,
Well, somebody try to help me. I'm trying to convince my husband I need a dog.
oh yeah.
I want okay, you're going to have to Google it. So I want a giant Alaskan Malamute.
Oh no, I don't have to Google that.
Maybe
It is-
that was in one of the boxes on the porch for later.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
oh man, my keyboard almost had hot chocolate all over it.
Billy, a full-grown Alaskan Malamute can weigh 180 pounds. I'm not sure it'd fit in a box back there.
That's a really
Maybe
big box.
it's something that you add water to.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
It'll be mandatory that you name it Chewbacca.
It'll be cute. I might have to do that. If I name it Chewbacca, he might let me get one.
I don't know. Oh. But that kind of goes into our discussion for today.
It does a little bit. There
Thanks,
is a certain segue that, yes, it was planned. It was entirely planned.
No, it
I don't know
wasn't.
if we ever
We
planned
know it wasn't.
But yeah, today's big discussion, our final podcast of 2020, we are going to
Contains
talk about The Mandalorian Season 2. So needless to say, as Tanya was about to say,
spoilers. Our favorite fragrance.
our favorite fragrance from the Mighty Monkey line.
Spoilers. Oh boy.
From the Women with Space Hair collection. Spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so if you have not watched Mandalorian Season 2, or at the very least you've not watched the finale yet that just came out a couple days ago for us, then
Pause
you're
us.
going to want to take a pause. We won't mind. You come back and chat with us in a little bit, and then listen, because we're going to be letting it all out. because holy smoke is all I gotta say. Because it was,
Hey, we got Billy to binge it in 1 week. So-
We did it, and we had 7 episodes watched in one day, then had to wait for the last episode to drop before we
Oh.
could watch that.
Mhm.
Watch that like 9 a.m. Friday morning.
all right, so we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, it's Lando and a Mandalorian, a Mandalorian and a DeLorean.
Lando on a Mando?
Lando on a Mando. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah, thank you. We'll tell you guys later. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, and all happy points in between. We love you guys. We miss you guys. We're hoping you're having a decent holiday season. And so we're going, like I said at the outset here, we're going to close up 2020 with a chat about The Mandalorian, which has been the series that has defined the new generation of Star Wars. It's amazing because we've talked about this on several occasions in the past where the fandom is so wild and weird, right? You never know what they're going to like and what they're going to dislike, and when they don't like it, oh boy, do they let you know. And the J.J. Abrams sequel movies have evoked strong emotions, and there's been a lot of little properties here and there that have evoked strong emotions, and then to have The Mandalorian come out and be generally universally accepted. Everybody's been very excited about the series, and so season 2 there was no pressure. You had a great season 1. What do you got up your sleeve for season 2? Sophomore jinx. In the final analysis, here's my opinion: no sophomore jinx to be found here. It was a great series overall. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Oh, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to watch it again.
I think I do too, because I know there's probably pieces and nuances that I missed because I was so busy watching the overall story, as it were. But it was right off the bat just a wild, fun ride, which I thought was fantastic.
Yes.
and-
I usually had some people talking in the background.
You did?
At least on the final episode, Nene's TV was really loud, and Riker kept asking questions, and I'm like, shh. And then I was making dinner at the same time. So
All you just force choke them. It's done.
yeah,
They'll leave you alone.
I'll have to go back and rewatch the finale because I probably missed some things.
So, but yeah, you had the overwhelming arc that yet again the Imperials are trying to get their hands on the child, and along the way you meet some classic characters. You see the live action debut of the legendary Ahsoka Tano, that was a character that was introduced in the Clone Wars animated series. Now, Billy, on a couple of occasions, you've mentioned how you have not watched any of the animated stuff.
No, I haven't.
What did I don't? I'm trying to figure out how I want to answer the question. But the appearance of Ahsoka, did that? I probably didn't have the same resonance that it did for me because I've watched the animated series. But were you able to kind of appreciate that at all?
Because I am a nerd, and most of the things I follow online are nerd related. I was aware of the character,
Okay.
especially once she appeared on the TV show.
Right.
And she's been mentioned on this podcast a bunch of times.
Yes, she has.
So I knew that she was an important character.
Good.
But I didn't. I wasn't aware of her backstory. When I eventually go back and watch the Clone Wars animated show, that's when I'll probably get the real appreciation of who she was, and that. But with this, she's a Jedi. It's Rosario Dawson, who's always good in everything, and I was familiar with her name, so that was basically all I needed to know for that, because the Mandalorian's also really good at making things self-contained and not making it too confused. You don't need to know everything to appreciate it or understand what's going on in that particular moment.
Which is an excellent point to make. I think that's one of the strong suits of that particular show is the fact that they have done such a good job of, you don't have to be the diehard fan to understand it all that all that much. You can kind of glean through and still be able to appreciate what's going on in front of you. And I agree that's a huge facet of its popularity. So yeah, we had the Ahsoka Tano. She made a Thrawn reference, so suddenly making this legendary character that had been in the animated series, that had been in books. He was introduced in the Heir to the Empire trilogy by Timothy Zahn way back in the 90s. So that's now suddenly full on canon character, and that makes people very excited for what could possibly be happening. I thought it was just great. There was so many. Usually, in my opinion, when you see a show go out of its way for fan service, it fails somewhere along the line. Like The Rise of Skywalker, the final film, did a lot. It packed. One of its Persian flaws was the fact that it packed so much in, and you lose track of the story through the fan service. We're going to give this little tip of the hat, this little tip of that. Oh, there's this cameo. Oh, there's that little reference. There's all there was a chock full bag of Easter eggs. All right. So when you have these moments of fan service, and it's done so subtly but so wonderfully well, and it's just like, oh my god, okay, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, you own Star Wars. Just here's all my money. Just go for it, fellas. We love you. Please don't go anywhere.
The one advantage that the TV show has over the movies is the movie has to satisfy everybody in 2 to 2.5 hours, whereas the season of the TV show is 8 hours max.
Right.
And if I was looking at the running times of the episodes, and I pointed this out to Susan, and I think this is a huge strong point of the show, is that some episodes are 35 minutes, another episode's 55 minutes. They take exactly the amount of time they need to tell that story.
Yeah.
That chapter is whatever time. If it's 36 minutes, there you go. If it's an hour, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, Rise of Skywalker should have been almost 2 movies.
It really should.
But they were sticking to a trilogy, so it was the last in the trilogy, so they couldn't make it into 2 more movies.
It's pity Douglas Adams wasn't one of the script editors.
Right, that would have solved problems. the fourth movie in the third trilogy, whatever.
Exactly.
But I think that was the problem with Rise of Skywalker is they crammed, like you were saying, they crammed so much in a relatively short amount of time for the amount of content that if it was 2 movies, it probably would have been a lot better.
Right. And that's a very valid thing, because if they were to slow the pacing down, focus on certain scenes, focus on certain character development, and really kind of do it the justice. But here's the thing, and I think, and I'm going to stop talking about the movies after making this observation. I think it would have behooved them if they were all directed by the same person.
That too, yes.
Is when they started kind of pawning it off, and Rian Johnson's doing one and J.J. Abrams is doing another, and this is happening here and this is happening here and these people are doing this different. They started conflicting with each other, really, is what I was noticing. And
didn't have the same vision.
Yeah. I think you would have made a much cleaner trilogy if they had done that successfully. But again, armchair quarterbacking, it is basically the right and privilege of a Star Wars fan.
But that part is a very valid, I think, as far as having a continuous trilogy, but having it done by different people is not going to work.
No.
So I mean that's definitely a valid point. So, and having the series, so Mandalorian.
Yeah. Let's talk about Mando.
I'm on the little trivia page for the Mandalorian TV series, and because a lot of people, because I know I've asked several times, like, where does this fit in the trilogy and things like that, and I know it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi and 25 years before The Force Awakens, but this also takes place 6 years before the birth of Rey, so that possibly means no necessarily Ben Solo yet, because I don't know how much older he is than Rey. So
right, I don't think they've really established that.
Yeah, just throwing that out there for Billy's theory about what could possibly happen to Grogu.
Well, but he's only 52. He could live to be how old? So at some point,
like 900.
Yeah,
when 900 years old you get.
This good dual outlook or something.
Yeah.
I think with the Mandalorian though is Disney as a whole, as they're such a cash cow anyway. They've made this more so for the next generation. Like, you see a lot of kids who have never seen Star Wars before wanted to know who this child was.
Right.
Who are now
Everybody knows who the child is. Everybody.
Well, everybody. So now they know. But I was reading some statistic online that's saying that the number of times that younger kids are now watching the original 3 has doubled.
Really?
So now that they know this, that what could be, now they're going to go back and start watching the rest.
Uh-huh.
I had actually one of my students came in the other day, and he's like, "Okay, Metris, do I watch it 1, 2, 3, this 4?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" He goes, "Or do I go release order?" I'm like, "Well, you can totally skip most of 1, just focus in on the battle scenes." I'm just
well said.
But
like,
Well said.
It is a complete.
Well,
Let's pretend in an ultimate world those first 3 movies were good. What order do you watch them in? And to me, that is a really interesting question.
I know we've talked about that in the past, and we've brought up the machete order.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have, at least. I know I've talked about the machete order, which somebody came up with that completely like blitz past the Phantom Menace and starts with Attack of the Clones. Now, I will admit that recently I've decided that, at night when it's quiet and all I've got is my Minecraft and me and the kids are off doing their own thing, and I have started a Star Wars marathon of my own. And I started with Phantom Menace. I gritted my teeth. I skipped through some scenes.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But I'm right now, I'm in the middle of, because I decided to do the Star Wars saga in its entirety. So right now, as soon as I finished Attack of the Clones, I went right into the Clone Wars animated series. And then since the end of that ties in with Revenge of the Sith, I will watch Revenge of the Sith, and then I will watch Solo, and I will watch Rogue One, and then I'll watch the original Star Wars, A New Hope. And I'm trying to do it so that all of the properties kind of fit in their chronological order at this point.
So where does Rebels fit?
Rebels is basically kind of goes side by side with New Hope, or excuse me, not New Hope. It goes side by side with Solo and tinkers with Rogue One in its timing.
Okay.
So it's I think it's done, and then Rogue One, and then New Hope. So, yeah, thank you for reminding me of Rebels. Rebels was a great show. Rebels gets a lot of hate, and I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me. I've never understood.
So then, after you finish Return of the Jedi, you're going back to rewatch Mandalorian.
Yes, exactly.
See, that's cool, and it's funny. You can do the same thing with the Marvel movies, where instead of release order, you can start with Captain America: The First Avenger,
Right?
That takes place in the 40s. And then the next one might be Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Captain.
Yeah, because that
Captain,
takes place in the
my
80s.
Captain, oh Captain.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I think Iron Man would be after that. No, the Hulk might be before.
It's Hulk is the first.
Yeah. So it's fun to think. Well, it's fun for people like us to think about. I guess.
Whereas Susan's thinking of the
She's
COVID
sitting over
and
the
all.
couch, smirking, trying not to laugh.
She's thinking all of the serious stuff about what's the recent numbers and why didn't Santa just go next door?
Uh-huh.
All I have to say is, why so serious?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Why so serious? So raise your glass.
Okay, now we're off on a tangent, and that was even my fault.
Yeah.
I'm reading about the Federal Reserve.
Oh, Susan says she's reading about the Federal Reserve.
Oh, see, something serious. And how we're going to be broke, or we're already broke.
Too late. Already there.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say.
No, I'm like looking a little bit about the trivia. It says, let's see. I just lost it. Oh, Disney took great lengths to keep Baby Yoda under wraps until the show premiered, including not producing any merchandise ahead of time. But there was one potentially dangerous source of leaks on the set. Kids. The thing that was terrifying was the notion of having children on a set and what was going to happen with the kids seeing Baby. Bryce Dallas Howard, who was directing an episode Sanctuary on the Disney Plus series, says on People's TV Couch Surfing. Knowing the need to keep the secret, Howard took steps to prevent the kids who acted in the episode, including her own son and daughter, from spilling the beans. all the kids that were on set, I had conversations with each one of them just about keeping baby a secret, she says. And they were all just so great. But my kids, every single day when they were going back to school, before school, I would say, who do we not talk about today? And they would be like, baby. It was so amazing to get my kids on a Star Wars set just having the time of her life, she adds. So yeah, you would think that that would be like the most challenging thing without set leaks and things like that, that
Right.
something's going to leak out and kids would be the first one, or me. I would probably, I would not be able to keep anything under wraps.
Yeah, no, secrets are not your strong suit.
No.
Did anybody see what was tweeted yesterday by Mark Hamill?
Anything interesting on TV lately?
Yeah, yes, I did.
I think that was what, did he do it Friday?
Might have been Friday, yeah.
Yeah, he did it
No,
Friday.
no, it was something he put. Yeah, it was yesterday. It was definitely yesterday. It was it's amazing how them keeping me such a secret is still such a big deal.
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
true.
Yeah, because
He essentially is, in the finale of Mandalorian, he was the big reveal as Luke
spoilers
appears at the end. Well, we said at the top of the show, Luke appears in the finale. Now, it was not Mark Hamill himself de-aged. It was his
CGI.
face CGI put on another actor, I'm assuming. I believe that's what I
Yes.
heard.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It wasn't
was
great
true.
CGI, but
No.
it was,
Max
wasn't.
Lloyd Jones was the person.
Yeah, the CGI was a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I heard a great reasoning for that. Somebody who is close to the production said, look, these guys they knew the story they were going to tell. They knew what was going to happen at the end. But instead of blowing the whole budget on one scene, they made sure they blew the budget on the series, right?
Mhm.
So they spent their money on every episode to make sure that every episode had something to everybody could remember off of, and yeah, they had some they had some decent skills. It looked a little off, but there's a great theory because everybody's been people fan casted Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano. The fans kind of brought that casting to life.
Right before they were even cast. Yep.
Exactly. Well, it's common knowledge that right now there's a big theory going on that Sebastian Stan, who plays the Winter Soldier in MCU, he's uncannily. He
looks like Luke. Yeah,
looks
Mark
like a
Hamill.
young Mark Hamill. So people have been fan casting the crap out of the fact that he should be Luke, going forward. And so another running theory right now is that Sebastian is going to end up probably playing this part, but until that happens, they did the cheesy placeholder CGI just to get it into the mix, as it were. But it was just so wild. That final episode was such a freaking wild ride. With everything going on and the screaming Valkyries. Holy smoke, the women were amazing. Oh my God. You had Gideon himself even says you have an impressive fire team, and it's basically it was Gina Carano, Ming Na, Katie Sackhoff, and Sasha Banks. They all came out of the woodwork to be their characters once again from earlier in the season, and it was just amazing. They just kicked.
You just had to say that they took the child, and
They
and it's like, yep.
Well, Cara Dune's response was the best at the end of the episode where she kind of joins the squad that's going to go get the baby back. She's like, yeah, no, I'm respectable now. I got to do a thing. I got to do this by the book. And
They
whatnot.
took the child.
Yeah, they took the child, and all Gina Carano had to do was just tilt her head forward just a little bit and give him a look. She said nothing.
Right.
And just the sheer look on her face was like, okay, yeah, we're going to war. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yep, okay, that's the thing.
Well, it's like all those that mama bear instinct comes out. That is like, oh no, you didn't. You didn't. You just didn't go there. So
Well, it's the same thing with Katie Sackhoff too. When he approached Bo and he's like, "Okay, I need your help," and she's like, "Yeah, okay, that's not gonna." He took the child, and she just kind of went, "What?" Okay, I'm in. It was just basically okay. Now, Bo-Katan also had her ulterior motive. She wanted to get her crack at Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
Because he has the dark saber, and she wants the dark saber, which led to a very interesting sequence. But there's a question I have that I've got questions now, because there was this whole subplot where Bo wanted a crack at Gideon because he has the dark saber, and the dark saber is like Excalibur. right? There's this whole Excalibur kind of
Right.
allegory going on here.
He said
Where-
something initially that it was hers, that he took it from her.
Right. Gideon got it from Bo, and I guess the implication is that they had a fight, and Gideon defeated Bo-Katan, or somebody defeated Bo-Katan, and boom, he got the Darksaber. So he's, quote-unquote, technically the ruler of Mandalore. Such as it is, it's a shattered world at this point from what everybody's saying. So Bo's like, okay, I want to crack at Gideon, and I'm pretty sure Gideon made that tactical decision to fight the Mandalorian, to fight Din Djarin, because if he was going to lose, he wanted to lose to this guy and cause political strife, because it was like, because Thrawn is cold and calculating. Palpatine was a chess master, right? Tarkin was the ruthless, efficient ruler. Gideon's a bit of a weasel. He's just he's an asshole.
Yeah, well,
He's an asshole with authority and a decent brain in his head, but he's just a little fucker. And so I think he was a couple steps ahead, but he's always looking for the angle. He's always working, and he just does things to piss people off. It's really interesting to see how that character develops. And young Giancarlo Esposito is a phenomenal actor who has brought this character to life. You just want to hate him so much, and he gives you all the reason in the world to do it. It's been a fascinating ride to watch that in action. So anyway, they get aboard Gideon's ship, okay, and first the Mandalorian has to deal with a dark trooper, and that was frightening.
yes.
Holy Moses,
That
those
was
things are
great scene.
badass.
But then you can see how strong that Beskar steel is.
Yeah.
Because of the armor, you think if it had been just the regular stormtrooper armor that the dark trooper was punching, it would have been crushed.
Stormtrooper armor doesn't stop anything. That's basically useless.
It's just paper.
It's like
How heavy is the Mandalorian's helmet, though? I mean, seriously, if that metal can withstand that, it's got to be like 60 pounds, 70 pounds.
It's the hardest metal out there, isn't it?
That's the thing about Beskar is it's supposed to be like the MCU's adamantine or vibranium. It's incredibly light.
Tanya.
What'd you say, Tanya?
You can't say vibranium.
I didn't hear it.
You can't say premium.
vibranium is a trigger word for Tanya.
Oh, it's right up there with friction these days.
Yeah.
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 And broke me on Comic Chicks a couple weeks ago.
Wonderful. No, but it's like I said, it's the MCU equivalent or the Disney equivalent of MCU's vibranium, adamantine, whatever you want. But so it's supposed to be a light material, but it's incredibly powerful. Now, who on this panel with me today watched Game of Thrones?
I watched some of it.
I did. I watched the whole thing.
So, do you remember the scene of the mountain and the Viper? The Viper played by Pedro Pascal, and what happened to him? So it was basically, I think that scene where Pedro Pascal's skull did not get crushed this time around was a little fan service to the fans out there.
Yeah.
I saw a little post about how Katie Sackhoff was on there and the Dark Troopers or whatever, like Cylons.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah, that's definitely.
That's a great call, because I was thinking they looked so much like cool Doctor Who villains.
Truly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Cybermen and the Daleks finally got together and made a hybrid.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's good. Never mind.
Yeah. How they were explaining them, though, were kind of like creepy. Like the only downfall left inside of them is that human. I was like, wow, that is like, yeah, horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that they're all gone now.
Well, well, I don't think they are all gone, but
I don't know.
I would assume Gideon probably has a couple lying around somewhere, or knows how to make them. But
well, he has the child's blood.
Yeah, what's going on with the blood? We don't. We don't know.
well, I think that tie-in that's going to tie into.
I think season 3.
Well, there's going to be that, but I think it's more of
The midichlorians?
How to explain? No, let me just try to get the sentence out. Shit! Now I lost. Damn it!
I'm sorry.
You do that to me a lot.
I'm sorry.
You have to let Chris finish his sentences, otherwise he forgets.
I know. I'm so sorry.
The sequel trilogy, Snoke. They're going to use it to explain Snoke and Palpatine's return.
Oh.
I think that's what it was. Is the blood? The blood was for the cloning project because, well, the scientist was a cloner. They talked about that often, especially that opening scene with, where they were chasing down the shuttle. That he's a cloner. He's a cloner. He's a cloner. Okay, so why is the child's okay? So I think they're going to use that to help explain aspects of the sequel trilogy.
Okay.
Ooh. Can they
It's all
clone the
coming
child?
together.
Tanya, if they clone the child, we can all have our own.
Yay!
That's what I got out of all that. I know it's probably wrong, but
Don't we have enough for our own? Oh wait, no, there's never enough.
I only have 3 sitting in my desk right now, so I don't know.
I have 1 sitting in front of me and 6 sitting to the side of me, and then 1 here, 1 there. And
I have
was
14 in my room.
and was stitching a really, really small one that I got her from Five Below the other day to a headband that she's going to wear for dance.
It lights up.
The picture that you guys got up last Monday with our light up headbands.
Yeah.
And stitched Grogu to hers. So it's part of her tiara.
One thing the show did is a really cool job of world building and creating characters and introducing characters that will come back for season 3. No matter what happens eventually to Grogu, and he'll be back next year.
Oh yeah,
because there's no doubt about it. Plus,
they have to. It's too popular.
You got Katie Sackhoff and Sasha Banks and Gina Carano, and one character who, in 2 episodes, I think, is one of my favorites, is Bill Burr as Mayfield.
Oh my God, yeah, he is amazing in that part.
And the fact they let him go, he'll pop up again next year somehow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Bill Burr,
I see that happening.
I love watching the trajectory of his career because 10 years ago, I was listening to him on Opie and Anthony, where he was just a club comic who would come in and hang out with them. And, watching him grow both as a comedian to the point where he's hosting Saturday Night Live, to an actor where he's, on The Mandalorian and a ton of movies now. So watching him go from someone no one's heard of to, a potential star. And
I love how they
proving himself as an actor. That this scene in The Mandalorian where you can see him going through his PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was acting there. There was some serious acting going on there. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So, I like how they brought so many, not small actors, definitely not small, but actors and actresses that people may not have necessarily recognized, but have been around for a while in other supportive parts. Where yes, they were supportive actors or actresses in The Mandalorian, but they were the main story as well. Because without all of those parts, the way that The Mandalorian was made and the characters and the stories that it created would not be without any of them. You can't take one of those characters out and still have the same storyline.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Totally fair. Oh, God, so much to talk about. It's amazing.
I know. Well, there's a theory is the Mandalorian season 3 plot actually the Book of Boba Fett.
See, that's the thing is I'm wondering if that was another a secret kind of release that there's more different Star Wars stuff going on, because we had that cavalcade of stuff a couple of weeks ago that we've been talking about. We spent a whole bunch of it on Nerd World News the other night. Is that just going to be another show that they're releasing at this point, or is it indeed Mandalorian season 3? But we'll find out more.
Yeah,
I think the big thing we need to take away from is that Disney just might as well become the Star Wars channel at this point. Disney Plus is the Star Wars channel because there's just so much they're offering. It's amazing, and this franchise that we love so much and love to talk about so much is going to be alive and well for a long time to come. It's just kind of a given at this point. You're not going to get rid of it, and which for the ultimate fans like we are, oh, this is yay, so much
Mhm.
yay. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the elephant in the corner. We've hinted at it a couple of times at this point. The series, the season finale. They're on Gideon's ship. The girls have managed to take over the bridge. Actually, managed. Please, they owned that bridge. There was no doubt what was going to happen there. They wiped that place out. And
But they're about to get overridden.
what's that?
They're about to get overtaken by the
The Dark Troopers are piling up,
troopers.
and Vader had his gauntlet run in Rogue One, and like father, like son, Gina Carano's delivery of "Oh, great, a lone X-wing, we're saved" was perfect. But then when I first saw the X-wing sail past the windshield of the cruiser, I'm like, okay, cool. It's probably that rebel guy who's been flying around and being like the Outer Rim kind of policeman. And then I'm like, okay, where's the other X-wing? Oh, okay, there's probably gonna be some ships coming up at this point. And then she goes, lone X-wing. Oh, we're saved. I'm like, lone X-wing. Okay, let me set the story for you. I'm sitting in my living room. I am 50 years old. I am an old man. All right, and I'm sitting there just drinking a glass of water and watching this very casually. I'm into it. I've been enjoying the show so far. And then my brain clicks together on the mathematics of lone X-wing. And I proceed to jump up. Water goes everywhere. And I'm screaming, it's him! It's him! Holy shit, it's him! I fucking lost my mind at that point. I was like, oh my God, they're going to do it. Oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah. And by the way, I'm watching TikTok videos and apparently a lot of people had the same reaction I did.
Yeah.
So,
You should have recorded that. You could have posted it on a TikTok.
oh my God, I didn't even think that was going to be a thing. But all of a sudden here I am in this moment and I was like, okay. And then sure enough, here comes the black hooded figure. Okay,
This is happening. This is happening.
Well, no, at first I was still a little hesitant at first.
About who it possibly was.
Well, the way the hood was formed right off when I first saw it, I'm like, did they put Ahsoka in a black hood? Is it Ahsoka? Oh, is she back? Okay,
That's
would not
what
be.
I thought, and I kept
It would not
looking
be
at the
unheard
hands.
of.
I kept looking. No, those hands are Caucasian.
Right?
Yeah, and it's funny because you see the right hand has a black glove on it.
That's when I clicked.
And then the left hand is skin.
Bare.
Yeah, it was bare.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh crap. And then the green lightsaber, and I'm like, oh, it's him. And I lost my mind, and I am not ashamed to admit it. It was amazing. I was so excited. And I was like, I'm 12 again. I was 12 again for a moment. It was basically the long and the short of it. It was like, oh my God, this is so freaking cool. And yeah, the CGI was a bit wonky, right? We did hint at that. The CGI was a little rough, but it was worth it. It was so worth it. I could forgive the wonky CGI for the whole premise of the story. And yeah, that was just badass. It was pure, unadulterated badass. I was so excited. Now that I've kind of inundated you guys with my opinion, how did you feel about it?
I was like, it's almost the same thing where it took me until like he unmasked and it was him, and Susan and I were both like, oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker. It was genuinely exciting to see young Luke, because we saw old Luke in the sequels, but to see young Luke again was really cool.
I mean, to be, and here's me armchair quarterbacking because I know so much, right? It would almost feel like to go forward with Star Wars, you need that character. He is Star Wars. I mean, everybody looks to Vader. Vader's the iconic villain character, yes. But I think to really kind of legitimize a Star Wars series, you need Luke Skywalker. You need that reference. You need that anchor point, because he was the guy who took us on the journey in the first place.
And this kind of ties in what happens after Return of the Jedi with Luke to The Force Awakens, where he's missing.
Right.
And so he had to been, we know that he had been, had young Padawans or young Force users that he was training and things like that. But we didn't know. And so we had to have kind of figured out that it wasn't going to be Asaka because she's like, I can't train him. So when the X-Wing came in, and I'm just like, I half expected to see more X-Wings and like, oh, the cavalry has arrived. But then when nothing showed up, I'm like, I know who that is.
Yep.
And I'm like, I know. And just like going through the gauntlet, I'm like, yep, exactly. And the green lightsaber, I knew exactly who that was. And when Grogu leaves with Luke at the end, it was like, this is where I started. Luke was carrying Yoda on his back when he was becoming a trainer, and now he's
true. Yeah, good point.
taking the baby out with him, and he goes, I don't think he wants to go. And he goes, no, he needs your permission, type thing. That it's okay for him to leave, because he had made such a connection with Mando. But yeah, it's just they have so much story now to continue to work on,
right,
and to continue the series. So
I'm so excited. That's the thing. I think that's the most wonderful thing about it is that, there are times where you watch a show, it's a series, and you're like, okay, I'm obliged to watch this episode because I'm a fan. All right, so I have to watch this particular episode, and it does not leave me wanting more. Mandalorian has. I don't think there's an episode of Mandalorian where I haven't been like, it's over? Oh, crap. Aw.
What's next? Quick, what's next? I need
know.
I need to know.
I need more. Come on, man. I'm tapping my arm. I need another fix, dude.
Yeah, that was a really quick watch. As someone that waited to binge the whole season.
Well, the episodes were shorter.
But it didn't feel like it took. I don't feel like I watched 8 episodes. It just flew by. Or like you said, Chris, just sometimes it's a slog to get through a show, but you feel like you have to see the whole thing.
Right.
I still remember when I watched Iron Fist. I wound up basically hate watching the last bunch of episodes. But I couldn't not complete it.
No matter how hard we tried.
Yeah.
It was so good. Like there was nothing you could do but sit and watch it. And how many times did you watch it? And then, at least for me, I would watch it with my husband. And then the next day I would watch that episode maybe 1 or 2 more times, just so I could get all the little nuances that I know I missed because I was so excited to watch it the first time.
Exactly.
There was no fat on the episodes.
Great way to put it. And they were it was just, each story moved. And as you pointed out, sometimes the run times are different, so they were not being held to network standards where it has to be this amount of time. It has to be, sometimes you have to put filler scenes in or whatnot to kind of hit it, or make sure you're, accommodating for commercial breaks or whatnot. It was, we tell the story. When the story is over, we move on to the next story. And I thought I think that's what streaming services have allowed storytellers to do, as well as be able to tell the story they want to tell without having to convolute it so much. Dilute it is probably a better way of describing it.
Well, I think that's kind of how, they've titled them Chapter 15, Chapter 16, Chapter whatever, because they are that continuation of a story rather than like say like NCIS. Yeah, there's a story arc that's going through it, but it's just individual episodes with where this is truly focused in on a central theme of
valid.
So that's what makes it more of like that it flows, as Billy says. There's no fat to it. It's not necessarily, it just keeps going, and you're like, okay, what now? Damn, we have to wait until December of 2021 now? What the hell? So,
there's going to be so much more to watch. There's going to be
a good ending to 2020, though. Honestly, if 2020 was going to be the train wreck that it is, at least we had this at the end to get it through. You know what I mean? Like, it really felt like, okay, he's alive for now.
he's safe in Luke's hands right now, at least for the next 11 months, and then we'll see what happens in December of 2021. But yeah, it's
two things. One thing, I want to see if in the future Baby Yoda becomes teenage Yoda, sort of like
No.
Baby
Groot.
Susan immediately looked up and said, "No."
I am
Well,
Groot.
it took him 52 years to become a toddler. How long is it going? It's going to be another at least 100 years before he becomes a teenager.
I want to see snotty teenage.
No.
Yoda. He said no. The other thing, but the character I loved that I want to see come back and actually needs a name is the frog lady with the eggs.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
That starts a whole other thread in regards to how everyone was in an uproar with Grogu eating the frog eggs.
Yeah.
He was hungry.
I know he was hungry. He was naughty. No, but it seemed like, yeah, he had Grogu had like a lot of cooing and things like that, whatever. But it was like right at the end, it sounded like he was actually trying to like articulate a word.
Yeah, people have been saying, "Oh, we heard Grogu's first word" for a couple of episodes now, and which is funny because that's another thing Star Wars fans are notorious for is armchair quarterbacking everything. It's like I watch YouTube videos every so often, and I stomach them just so I can listen to these things, and I'm like, wow, you are really just struggling for relevance, aren't you, dude?
It's
I
funny.
gotta go back and watch. Did Grogu leave with the little gear shift knobby thing?
No, I did not see that.
Or does Din have it?
I think Din's got it at the moment. I didn't see him give it out or anything like that. So,
Come on, kid, take it. We know you want it.
yeah, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna hover on that whole like father like son. I'm going to go through the gauntlet thing now because Vader's iconic scene came from Rogue One when at the end he just plowed through those rebel soldiers and you saw him really at full throttle pretty much for the first time ever. To see Luke go through the Dark Troopers was just, and it was great. I had to watch it a couple of times, but I remember, focusing on a couple of the battle scenes in like Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, and there were some moves that Hayden Christensen pulled as Anakin Skywalker, and they did in the animation. There were some things that are just like, holy cow, that takes some thought and planning to choreograph stuff like that. And to see a lot of those moves mirrored in Luke was just a great nod to detail. And I think that's one of the wonderful things. We were hinting at it. I was talking a little bit about it earlier. Fan service, but doing it subtle, doing it light, and not bogging the movie down or the show down with it. Just the stance, the maneuver, the motion. It was just so wonderful to see Anakin and Luke Skywalker being basically the same guy at the same time and under the the same circumstances. It was just so cool to watch that blending of the mythos that we grew up with, to see it coalesce then. And like I mentioned, our favorite show is it's healthy. It's people can go ahead and malign the sequel trilogy all they want, and they will for a long time to come. There's a bunch of guys right now who are basically going, oh, this is going to suck. They're going to go ahead and retcon the sequel trilogy. They're going to do it. This is going to, because they all suck. I'm like, okay, guys, just relax.
I think this is where I suck. Like I enjoyed the sequel trilogy, and
I did too. I mean, it had flaws. I get it, but you know what? It was still fun.
But it's better than the world without Star Wars stuff to watch.
Amen, brother. Amen. We've been at this for a bit.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. We get going on Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. We really can. We're good at that. It's fun. That's why we enjoy this. This is why we are who we are, really. I mean, come on. Let's look at it this way. Star Trek was great when we were kids, right? But we became nerds when it came to Star Wars. That's it. Star Wars has made us who we are.
Anne, have you seen Star Trek?
The original or the Next Generation, or which one? Because I only watched
Any-
Next Generation because I had a huge thing for a certain teenage boy on that show because I was a teenager then.
Wesley?
Yes, I know. It's so bad.
Shut up, Wesley. Poor Will Wheaton. I swear to God.
Poor
He's
Will
a great
Wheaton.
guy.
And now you look at him and it's like,
Guy.
he's like never aged though.
He really hasn't. He grew a beard. That's how he aged.
Yeah.
When he got gray like the rest of us, but he's never aged. I mean, if I could age that well, it'd be amazing. I mean, how old is he now? Like, I don't even know.
He's
40
not-
something.
Yeah, he's 40
Yeah,
something.
so he's older than me, but he's still so dreamy when it comes to. It was nice to have a geek kind of thing. And my mom watched the originals. I remember her making me watch The Trouble with the Tribbles.
Mhm.
And
That's the
You
best.
said that with such disdain. I love
it was
Star
so
Trek.
cheesy. You have to remember, it was the 90s.
Oh.
It was.
Maybe the fact I watched him in the early to mid 70s. Yeah, mid 70s is when I watched.
Yeah, so in the 90s it was cheesy to me, and then the Next Generation came on. I was really into that, and my mom was a little different television-wise. We weren't banned from watching The Simpsons. She thought they were completely inappropriate, just like my
They are.
sister's banned. My
Not
sister's
wrong.
banned her kids from watching SpongeBob. So, we didn't have a lot that we could watch on TV. My dad watched wrestling. We all hid in our room and watched Next Generation. I mean,
There you go. Will Wheaton is 48.
wow.
Yeah. July 29th,
I just-
1972. So he's a little younger than me.
He's a little older than me, but all I remember was every single Teen Beat or Bop or it was New Kids on the Block, Debbie Gibson, and Will Wheaton. That was it, like all for
There you go.
cover. Am I wrong, Dan? Am I wrong?
And Dan had all the Debbie Gibson covers.
Gibby Debson.
Gibby Dubson, yeah. I tell you.
No comment.
And buttons for his jean jacket.
Yes. I still have my buttons. But so for me, Star Wars was the thing. I mean, I've said this before. Sunday afternoons, Fox used to play all the original Star Wars. And my dad worked trick shifts at Kodak. And so every afternoon he had a nap. No matter what, he always had a nap. So that was my time that I could watch TV. And I loved Star Wars.
Okay.
But I mean, you guys will probably have a little bit different than you guys didn't go to public school as much as I did. Being a nerd or a geek was awful in the city school district. Like you could not even talk about it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was in art classes. So I was a graphic design major in high school.
Mhm.
And if you drew cartoons or if you drew anything that they considered geeky, you got called out. Like it was just awful.
See,
And now it's completely different.
I did go to public schools, and you're sort of right, except I wound up in like the sort of smart kid classes. So I had my own little group of fellow nerds.
Oh,
where
so
we went to go see Dune and the Star Wars movies and the Star Trek movies. So there was like 5 of us who were like friends, and we went to go see all the science fiction movies that came out. So I got lucky in that I wound up with a group of fellow nerds that
You had tribe to protect
yeah,
you.
I had a tribe.
I graduated in 1996 from
Okay.
Edison Tech. Okay.
Wow.
So Edison Tech was different. Like it was a lot of, you had the automotive people, you had the welding people, you had the photography people, you had aviation. Our school had aviation. You could go and fly a plane.
Yeah.
But then we had this little art clique area that I was in that was the graphic design. But we were designing boxes and we were designing layouts for magazines and stuff. Nobody said, okay, let us draw cartoons, let us draw other things.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until like a year after I left that they started that. So that's kind of cool. So being a geek was something we had to hide. I mean, I hid that for years.
I graduated in 1983, and back then they had just started computer classes with Radio Shack TRS-80.
Those are good
Radio
stuff. Come
Shack.
on.
No,
That was my first computer. Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Trash 80. Come on.
Yep,
Yep.
exactly.
Dan Zork.
Those are the best. Come on.
Man, we had Macs, but
Ooh.
it was we were kind of fancy. It was we got our first Mac in Catholic school, so
Mm-hmm.
I know that was in '91. So, the good years, the good years. But I mean, all of us, we all love Star Wars to a point where we all have that one common ground.
Yeah.
And I think that is what has brought the Star Wars universe to what it is today. Because whether you were a geek in the 70s and 80s, the 90s, or even up to now, it has gapped so many generations that kids can go with their grandparents to rewatch a movie or a new movie and still talk about it and love it together.
Exactly. Absolutely. And blissfully, that's going to be something we can all share for a long time to come. And and we've hinted at it, we've talked about it, we've done whole podcasts about it. There's always going to be somebody who's going to be down on it. There's going to be somebody who's upset with this detail or upset with that detail, or going to nitpick this continuity. That's them. That's on them. I've mentioned on several occasions, there's no such thing as a perfect Star Wars product, because there's a global consciousness involved with it, and everybody's going to have their opinion. But I'll tell you what, season 2 of Mandalorian did a really damn good job,
Yeah.
and it appealed to a lot of people. A lot of people were very happy on Friday.
You just
A
got
lot
to
of
find the right
excited.
people at the right time. John Favreau and Dave Filoni and Peyton Reed and the cast that they put together, was the right thing at the right time. Maybe the sequel movies fell a little flat to some people, but this didn't. I don't think. I haven't heard a bad thing about The Mandalorian.
The only bad thing I've heard is that you had the nitpickers having some fun with it, and there's a lot of people right now, because in the animated series, in Rebels, Sabine Wren, one of the hero characters, gets her hands on the Darksaber and hands it off to Bo-Katan and says, "This belongs to you." And Bo-Katan takes it. She's like, "Okay, yep, I understand, and I'm going to roll with this." But in the season finale, our Mandalorian wins the Darksaber off of Moff Gideon, and then when Mando's like, "I'm just going to hand it off to Bo-Katan," she wants this. I don't, she deserves it. I don't need it, but she couldn't take it. And Gideon goes on. She has to win it in battle to get it, and so there's like a little, there's a little discrepancy there. Like, wait, how did Sabine hand it off to Bo and she took it, but now Din is trying to hand it off to Bo and she won't take it? So there's like, wait, hopefully they'll explain that in season 3, is what I'm expecting at this point. I'm thinking, because I don't think Sabine actually won it off of somebody. She found it, and so that's, I think, how they're going to kind of get around that particular continuity issue. But that's such one of those nitpick things right now. But it's definitely creating an issue where it's going to be an interesting situation where if Bo and Din have to fight, it's going to be an interesting day. But season 3 is going to be really kind of cool. There's a lot going on, and hey, closing credits at the post credit scene where Boba Fett takes over Jabba's empire.
Yeah, really.
Like Bib Fortuna didn't even have a chance to say much.
Well, Bib is twice the man he used to be, apparently.
Oh my God, 3 times the man.
Holy moly!
Yeah.
Apparently the chair really kind of bulks you up a bit.
He must have an Italian wife.
Yeah, there you go. There it is. Well, Fortuna, it ends in a vowel, so you might be Italian right to be. I'm going to hell for that one. I really am. I'm going to go. I'm sorry for all my Italian people out there.
You're Italian, so
I am. I'm half Italian, so I can make jokes like that.
I am, and I'll allow it.
There you go. Thank you, Billy.
I'm not, but I grew up in a family that is, so I'll allow it.
There you go.
Oh, well.
All right. So how about we take a quick break, and when we come back, we will do our question of the week and wrap up the year of 2020 for our podcast. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and we're hoping you're having a good day and hanging out with us and having some fun. Yeah, just we'll you know what? I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to be talking about Star Wars for years to come, and I love that idea so much. Can't even tell you how excited I am to have those conversations.
You
So
can tell us, Chris.
it's just
It's okay. You can tell
so
us.
happy. Well, that's I discovered Star Trek. All right, when I was 6, 7 years old. Okay, I watched the reruns. That was fun. But Star Wars was it. Star Wars was what made me on the
Mhm.
path of who I became. That was like the power nerd, the fantasy, the imagination behind it. And then eventually, like a couple of years later, I found Doctor Who, and then that was it. And there's no going back from that. Jock is not in the future at this stage. So
I don't think it was ever in our future, Chris. I don't know.
that's true too. That's true. But all right, so let's do question of the week. Daniel-san,
Yes.
I would like to see what question 400 has in store for us.
400. Okay. It says this is a would you rather question.
Yay! Something I don't necessarily have to really think about.
Okay.
Would you rather have all traffic lights you approach be green
Uh-huh.
or never have to stand in line again?
Hey, Ann,
Yeah.
you're up.
I wouldn't mind either way. But I would choose the green because I like standing in line at places.
Gives you stuff. Gives you time to
You
do
meet,
stuff.
yeah, no, you meet people. You say hello. Sometimes, especially right now, just
Mhm.
standing behind somebody in line at Wegmans saying, "Are you doing okay today? Happy holidays," makes somebody feel better.
Right.
And I don't know if you've noticed. I've noticed when you walk through any grocery store, it's so quiet right now.
Mhm.
Nobody feels that they can talk to each other because of the masks. Even the employees don't seem to be having that interaction.
Right. That's
And
fair.
so
That's
I've
valid.
made it a point that when I stand in line, hello, are you okay? How are you? Happy holidays. Just to make that connection because you don't know when the last time some of these people have actually spoken to somebody if they live alone in person.
Fair.
Hmm.
That is incredibly fair. That's I like that.
Huh.
And that's a really poetic answer. That was a lot
It
more
is.
poetic than I expected. That was awesome.
Yeah, sorry.
Please, there's nothing to
That's good.
apologize for that. That's absolutely nothing to apologize for. Daniel.
I would say never has to stand in line. Just thinking of my last trip to Disney World.
Valid.
Well, right now, isn't right now the 5 minute waits?
There's a lot shorter now for the most part, yeah, because the capacity's way down. But yeah, but it'd be nice not to have to stand in line there.
That's fair.
I'm not as social as you are, Anne. So I guess I don't have the.
How about you, Bill?
I'm with Ann. I'm not as social as Ann either, and I don't drive, so I don't have to worry about the green lights. So I'm going to go with the other option. I'm going to not stand in line for anything.
There you go. All right, who has? Is it me and Tanya that haven't answered at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Tanya, you first, honey.
I'm gonna go with Anne with the green lights because I can stand in line. Yeah, I get a little frustrated at times, but I'm usually playing on my phone or whatever. But a couple weeks ago, more like about 2 months ago, my mom and I were over at Eastview Mall, and we were at Build-A-Bear, and we were waiting in line to get Riker's. He's now nowhere found. Baby Yoda,
Right.
and there was somebody at the machine getting their bear filled, and then there was a little girl in front of us who happened to have been like 3 with her mom, and then my mom and I. So the little girl in front of us, you could see that she was getting antsy and tired and cranky and whatever, and mom was trying her hardest to amuse her, and she was like starting to cry and tantrum and sit down and things like that. And without missing a beat, my mom and I are like, my mom's like, oh, to the unstuffed baby Grogu and it's like, oh, do you see this? Do you see this? And she's like, ooh. And then I'm like,
You jumped into mom mode.
we did. Both of us jumped into mom mode, and I immediately pulled out because she was going to get a My Little Pony, and we immediately pulled out music on my phone, and we were doing Let It Go, and so the little girl was singing and dancing and things like that. And then she was trying to hand me her toys, and I'm like, I can't take it, honey. I'm like, but it's so sweet and things like that. So that the mom, when it was their turn, the mom turns, looks at my mom and I like, thank you. Because like the little girl was getting ready to book out of the store. And
mutiny was about to happen.
Yes. And I'm like, you know what? I go, I'm a teacher. I'm a mom. I get it. I totally get it. And we were dancing with her and things like that and bebopping and then the little girl had to show us all of her pony stuff. And this is what she wanted. And this is whatever. And this is what she's going to get. I think it was like Pinkie Pie or whatever she was getting. And it was just adorable. And the mom, she's like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you.
Do you guys remember when Tanya was shy?
When was that? I don't remember.
It was a while ago.
It was when we first started this podcasting. Like I always like to talk, but I was a little nervous when we first started in studio. Mm-hmm. So I was hesitant. I was more reserved. I blame Chris for that and Billy.
I'll take that.
See, Tanya just reinforced my answer, though. That sounds like a nightmare.
That's awesome. Oh God, I love it. Wow.
Yeah, but see, Billy, the one time I was at Wegmans and the lady in front of me, who I never actually like go out in the world pretending I'm going to be a super nice person, because there are days that I am not.
Oh my God, you should have heard her. Woo! Yeah,
yeah. There are days that I am not a nice person, but
I've been privy to that.
I was at Wegmans and the lady in front of me, literally, she was short like 50 cents. And she's looking like in the bottom of her purse or whatever. And the cashier just has like the worst look on their they're like, they don't even know what to do. It's like, this has never happened to them before. Mm-hmm. So I literally just handed 2 quarters, put it on the belt. I said, here you go. Have a nice day. And you don't understand what that does to somebody. The cashier no longer has to panic about how to take something off. Mm-hmm. And that person doesn't have to think about, what can I not afford this week to eat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've absolutely done that. I don't.
Yeah.
But that's the part, if you didn't have that 30 seconds or 1 minute, whatever, you're waiting in line, would you have touched one person's life that day?
No.
Probably. No. Anything's possible.
Somewhere else.
Billy's like, I don't want to touch anything.
I would have done something nice for the person waiting at the crosswalk for me because I didn't have a green light.
No.
Okay, Christopher.
I would like to avoid having to stand in line, which, if you think about it, the bonus aspect of it isn't sitting at a red light standing in line, so I wouldn't have to do that either then?
No, because you're not, you're sitting in a car. You're not standing in line anymore. No.
You're in the line.
But you're not standing.
Yeah, it's not a line. You're just stopped at a light. It's a little different.
I'm sticking to my guns on this one.
Yeah.
You're the Moff Gideon of the group.
Yeah.
I am.
Weasel looking for an angle.
I am looking for a damn angle. I think I deserve a couple of angles on that one, too.
Oh, boy.
And you love me for it.
Yeah. I think people are going to start committing mutiny upstairs. Right now it's really, really quiet, but I'm afraid.
If it's quiet, it's all good. Don't worry about it.
No,
don't question it when it's quiet.
Tyler's already been downstairs 3 times to let me know that my parents were here and things like that.
You didn't know the first couple of times, apparently.
Yeah. And he's like, Nana Pepper here. Yes, Tyler. And he's looking at so.
Well, then, you should stop prolonging things there, Kimberly. So, Dan.
Yes, Chris?
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Chris.
Hit it. Because this has been FC3's Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic Con, coming at you in 2021. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us wherever we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is. So for Dan, for Billy, for Ann, for James, for Elizabeth, for Tanya, for Susan, and for Billy Kid, I am Chris. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great holiday. Have a safe holiday, and we will see you again after the holiday.
Dun, dun. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh wait, wrong thing.